The man with the most when it comes to sport is Tom King. Here he is now with a look at the last 4 months of sport in last year.
Thank you once again, Megan. Well, we're well into 2009 now, but we're going to continue our look back at 2008. Of course, we get to September and footy finals action is in the air. We're going to take you right through until December. And, well, let's talk about the first premiership to be decided. It was taken out by Geelong Amateur over Torquay. They were just absolutely awesome on grand final day, but it's hard to believe because at half-time of the preliminary final against Ocean Grove at Queen's Park of all places, they trailed by 47 points. Conditions were not favourable, a wet day, a miserable day down by the Barwon River, and they somehow pulled it out of the fire. And then, well, after Tim Clark managed to get off that charge of, well, engaging in rough play, I suppose you could call it, against James Dalton on the Friday before, you had to think that the boys from Pegasus House were never going to get rolled. GDFL Grand Final was a week later, and wasn't it an absolute clinker between Thompson and Bellpost Hill? And many thought when Bellpost Hill took the lead in the last quarter that they would go on and win their first ever senior GDFL premiership. It wasn't to be, though, but Thompson made it 3 in 4 years, and for rookie coach Glenn Wallace, his first in vindicating his move away from South Barwon. Of course, the Swans knocked out in the preliminary final in the GFL. That's the next grand final we look at. And it was St Mary's and Colac, and it wasn't a smashing. It was very, very one-sided. 99 points the margin in the end. The Saints were absolutely awesome on grand final day. A fantastic side, coached well by Mark Woolnough and Daniel Fletcher, and they picked up their 4th GFL premiership and their first since 2004. Unfortunately for the Pussycats, well, their grand final was just one they'll want to forget. 26-point loss to Hawthorn. Everybody had them as favourites going in. They were pretty good against St Kilda in the qualifying final. Not as impressive in the prelim final against the Bulldogs, but they weren't last year, or 2007 rather, against Collingwood before going on to smash Port Adelaide. But Hawthorn were a completely different side to that insipid power side of 2007 and made sure that they would be going home with the big trophy and the big prize. We get to October, and it was racing time, and the Geelong Cup saw Bauer brought out here by the Kamani stable. Strapper Francesca, the very delightful Francesca Kamani, who seemed to get plenty of media attention, more than probably the horse itself, came out with the horse and brought it down to Geelong. And, well, like Media Puzzle in 2002, the win not as impressive, but good enough for them to book a Melbourne Cup berth, where in the end they would be beaten by a nostril hair by Viewed in the Melbourne Cup. Running second was Moatai's Bart Cummings, third Magic Instinct. While the Werribee Cup was held at Geelong, Mandela, who won the Geelong Cup in 2006, taking the title there. Mark Zara and Mike Moroney combining there. Imvula was second with Reggie third. We move on to November, and Adam Beckworth missed the first round of the Gatorade Triathlon Series due to illness, but it was AFL draft time. And, I tell you what, the Cats did pretty well out of the draft too. Pick 15, Mitch Brown from the Sandringham Dragons. Pick 33 from the Dandenong Stingrays, Thomas Gillies. Pick 39, that was the one they traded for Brent Prismal to Essendon. Stephen Motlop from Wanderers, brother of Daniel and, of course, Shannon, who both played league footy. And at pick 44, Taylor Hunt from the Sandringham Dragons. While the Geelong Falcons had 4 players picked up, Ace Cordy we knew was going to go to the Western Bulldogs. He went at pick 14 under the father-son. His dad, Brian, of course, playing 100-odd games with the Doggies in the 80s. 46, Luke Rounds to Collingwood. 52, Jordan Jones from Ocean Grove to the West Coast Eagles. And from Geelong Ammos, pick 56, Ben Bookavars to Freo. The month ended with a fantastic chase in cricket, a record chase for the Geelong Cricket Club when they took on Essendon. Now, they conceded at 402 on the first day, and Essendon actually declared. Well, the next day, thanks to Aaron Finch and Sean Dean, Geelong got the runs, 4 for 403, a momentous day in Geelong Cricket Club history, and set the ball rolling, which will be taken into 2009 as they look for their first Premier Cricket title. We round out the year with the second Gatorade Triathlon Series event for the year. Adam Beckworth finishing 9th, coming off that illness. Gareth Helverson taking that event at Elwood Beach. Of course, that makes its way to Port Arlington. So fantastic racing news coming out as we approach the end of the year, that Geelong had picked up night meetings from 2010-11. There'll be 58 meetings on the breakwater track. There'll be a little bit on the turf, a little bit on the synthetic, but it's just going to be massive for racing in this town. And there was plenty happening in the world of footy as well. Good Friday football was put on the agenda by the St Albans Football Club. They want to play Leopold to open season 2009. As the time we went to taping, we just weren't sure of what was taking place with that notice final decision has been made, but sure going to stir plenty of controversy if it is given the green light. Been a massive year in sport. We've really enjoyed bringing it to you here on Good Morning Geelong and can't wait for 2009 to get into full swing. I've been Tom King from K-Rock and Bay FM in Geelong. Megan, back to you.
Thanks for your company again. We hope you've enjoyed today's program. I look forward to seeing you at the same time next week. Goodbye.